All right, Shalom. Kahalayam la Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Makakwadash, which is the Paleo Hebrew, the Lashon Kodash, the holy tongue for the one true name of the Heavenly Father being Yahweh, whom the world ignorantly calls God or Allah, right? Which both of those words are titles, which simply mean power. All right, and that of the Messiah, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus, being Yahweh Shai. And again, the letter J wasn't derived until the 16th century, so that clearly could not have been his name. And you may question, why is that relevant? Why, as it is written, according to the book we all claim to believe, right? There's no name given among man whereby you must be saved, point blank period, man. There's no salvation in any other, you see? So the elect will find that name, the elect will call upon that name and reverence that name, man, in fear and trembling. I'd like to give double honors unto the elders and the apostles at GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere peace, love, blessings, salutations unto all those of you hopeful, faithful, potential members of the elect, doing the best to make the calling of your election sure. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and jump straight into the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, and verse 1. It says, "And it came to pass, after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that the waves were moved thereof." Right, and as you see here, right, the second batch of the Pentagon UFO files have been released, man. All right, and this proves everything that we've been out there saying for all this time, man. Right, telling you that these are the chariots of the Most High, telling you that there are in fact UFOs, and all these people out here, right, that would scoff and mock at it, right, including these, world religions, right, are now eating their own words, man. All right, because soon you're going to see the heavens full of thousands of those so-called UFOs, man, which we call them IFOs, because we've identified them. We know what they are, man. You see, and it's talked about throughout the whole Bible, man. Ezekiel even describes it in great detail. You see, but nonetheless, again, you're going to see a day, if the Lord allows it to be so for you, you're gonna see the sky full of these vehicles, man. All right, but going on, verse 3 of 2nd Esdras chapter 13, it says, "And beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, and when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him." Right. So what you got to imagine, right, is somewhat of a UFO invasion, man. This is the book of Revelation chapter 1 and verse 7. It says, "And behold, he cometh with the clouds." Right, and the book of Genesis describes these clouds, and it doesn't describe them as actual clouds, right, but the vehicles in which they're using. You see, it says, "And every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all the kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so, Amen." So, hey, you're going to see the Lord returning from the heavens, man. Right? And what did it say? That even those that pierced him, everybody's going to see him and they're going to wail because of him, right? Which is matching what we just read out of 2nd Esdras chapter 13. And verse 4, it says, and verse 3, it says, "And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven," right? So these thousands of heaven returning to establish the kingdom of heaven on this earth. It says, "And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him." So wherever his countenance went, wherever his right, wherever he was facing, right, the things would tremble underneath him, man. And I've had accounts, right, one in particular, which I did a lesson on. But my own mom, man, she had a dream, and I don't break down, I haven't broken down the scriptures as far as, the book of Revelation and all that, like in great detail to her, so there wasn't a way she could have really known this, but she had a dream about all this, man. She went outside and looked up, and everybody was panicking, and she said that she saw giant vehicles, and there were people on them, and she said there was one that had a huge man on it, a huge so-called black man with an afro. And that marks the book of Revelation to a T, man. Right? And so what did it say? That all those that were terrified that he looked at, man, Verse 4, it says, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it filleth the fire. So wherever he this vessel opened its mouth towards, right, it was shooting out a concentrated, laser beam, so to speak, man. Right? What did it say? Is the earth filled like within it filleth a fire, right? So, what it reminds me of is War of the Worlds. You get that to get a good depiction of it, where you have those, those alien spaceships, so to speak, that are zapping people, man. Right? Turn them into straight dust and powder in an innumerable moment, which we're going to read. That's what this vehicle, that's what the chariots of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai are getting ready to do, man. Verse 5, it says, and beheld, after I beheld this, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of the number of the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came of the sea. Right? So the four winds of heaven, all these nations, right? Their air force is basically gathering together to fight these vessels, man. The vessels of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Right? Verse 6, it says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. So you got to remember, right? These prophets, right? They were living in ancient times. They're trying to describe these things the best that they could. And the way that Ezra described this is that he searched to see a region of mountains, man. You look around and you could even tell the direction that you're in just because the region of mountains around you, right? So this was a very, very large chariot that Yahushai was on, man, in this dream. That he thought it may have been a mountain, but verse 7 is gonna prove that it's not. It says, but I would have seen the region or place where out the hill was graven, and could not. So he would have seen the area where that that region of that hill was cut out, but he wasn't able to see it because, again, it wasn't an actual mountain. You see, Zechariah describes it as a flying roll. Verse 8, it says, and beheld this, after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet doest fight. Right? I mean, you can only imagine being in the Air Force, and you're having to come up and fight the chariots of the Lord, man. They were terrified, right? But what did he say? That, hey, the Heavenly Father allowed them to continue to fight, man. The Heavenly Father allowed them to continue to come against him. The Most High likes to fight, man. The scriptures say that the Most High is a power of war. Verse 9, it says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lift up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, which fell with violence upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Right? So, in an innumerable multitude, right? What did it say? That in a moment was made nothing but dust and smoke, man. The smell of smoke. You see? So that's the power that we're beginning to get ready to see, right? When it comes to these so-called unidentified flying objects, right? Not green little men, not weird little alien creatures, though there may be creatures out there we don't know about, right? At the end of the day, man, those are the chariots of God, right? Let me go ahead and grab the book of Zechariah, and we'll close it on that. This is the book of Zechariah. I'll get straight to the point. I believe it's chapter 5. Chapter 5 and verse 1, it says, then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits. The breadth thereof is 10 cubits, right? Which a cubit is about 1.5 feet, man. So this is a relatively smaller chariot, right? But, you know, still not too small, right? It's about 15 feet by 30. You see? So it's, you know, it's pretty good size. Verse 10, it says, then he said unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For every one that stilleth shall be cut off, as on this side according to it, and every one that sweareth shall be cut off, as on that side according to it. Right. So, hey, the Heavenly Father is going to allow these chariots to waste and destroy on this earth, man. Not only are you going to be seeing chariots bringing destruction, but you're also going to be seeing thermonuclear destruction, man. All this is going to all be taking place at once, right? It has to be the greatest delivery of all time if it's going to be the worst enemy of all time, man. The height of these scriptures, the climax, if you will. You see the Heavenly Father getting ready to hand this world over to the nation of Israel, man. Right? And it's not going to be done, without a fight. Esau is not going to let it go without a fight, man. In fact, we'll end it on this verse. The book of Revelation, chapter 12 and verse 12, and it reads, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Right? He knows his time is up, man. So he's going to fight, and he's going to make you fight for him as well, man. Why are you going to be afraid fighting? But you're still going to fight. Especially for those of you who took the Quran, man. With that being said, Lord willing, double honors unto the elders and the apostles at GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere peace, love, blessings, salutations unto all those of you hopeful, faithful, potential members of the elect, doing the best to make the calling of your election sure. Shalom and a Bible ball.